Hi guys, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and we are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain. And welcome to another live feed. So fun to see you guys on today. And the holiday seasons are I guess, well, whatever. You can think of them as plural or singular. But either way, they are upon us. They are here. And this can be a really rough time for everybody who struggles with food. This is a season that for months at a time, it's about gatherings and events and family and food with family and food with events and food with work. And a lot of it is outside of our control. And that's an element of having an eating disorder, is that there's always this wanting to have control and feeling out of control. And so it's going to be a really rough time. So I wanted to give you guys some 5 essential elements of how to survive the holiday season, how to make it better than it ever has been before, and even be able to have this be the last holiday season that you struggle. And so I'm going to give you guys those today because I know how difficult this is. Like, I remember back in my crazy food days and with the hundreds and hundreds of women that we help. I mean, this is overeating, yo-yo dieting, body hate, food stress, bulimia, binge eating. And there were many of those that I did for a lot of years. And as the holiday seasons were approaching, I remember I would be making a plan months in advance. And it was always this back and forth and this war in my head, like this hamster wheel that just kept going of like, okay, am I going to have pie on Thanksgiving? And is it okay to have, this food and this day, and what food is worth it? And what days are okay to have it and what days are not okay to have it? And what am I going to do with these occasions? And what if something comes up that I, don't know about? And how am I going to make up for it? And I would actually call family months in advance that I knew that I was going to be with and start petitioning for, get on my high horse about health. I'll put that in quotes, even though I was so unhealthy with my eating disorder. From the outside, I appeared healthy, maybe. I was thinner. Anyway, I would start petitioning people and wanting them, because of my passion for health, to make healthy alternatives. Like, oh, you know what? Like, isn't it just horrible how we all get together and we eat cookies and we eat these unhealthy things? We should do, some healthy alternatives. Like, what if instead of mashed potatoes, we had mashed cauliflower? What if instead of, stuffing with bread, we had stuffing with, I had all sorts of not very tasty food ideas, but that I was just really clinging to. And what it would usually come down to is that people wanted to have a regular holiday season. And I was just really obsessed with having it be a, in quotes, healthy holiday season. That it would be like, okay, well, Lydia, we want to support you in what is obvious your obsession with food and health, still putting that in quotes. So go ahead and make healthy alternatives to all these things. And so I would end up cooking pretty much a whole different Thanksgiving or holiday meal for what I thought was everybody. Like, everyone's going to make the healthy choice. Everyone must support me. Because I was in such a scared place. Like, food was really scary, and it was really scary to have this out of control feeling with food, to have foods around and to not have an alternative that, I'll put this in quotes as well, I can eat. This was the constant of my life of I need to find something that I can eat. And with all these events and parties, it's like, I've got to bring something that I can eat because I had to have everything in such control. So as the holiday season got closer, and as we started going past these holidays, on the holiday, I would usually have a really strict plan for what I would allow myself to have. So I would wake up early before anyone else, and this is supposed to be vacation, right? And I was up before the sun came up, just trying to be quiet in the living room, doing these high intensity workouts that I was just like killing myself with and have injured myself with, because I was trying so hard to burn all these extra calories and to do anything I could to make up for, the one bite of something that I was going to have later on in the day. And then it was this back and forth of like, okay, well, I worked out so much, so I should be able to have this. I should be able to have something and enjoy it. I should be able to have a normal piece of pie or whatever it was. And then there was this other part of me that's like, no, I can't even have one bite because, one, it's wrong. Like, there was all this morality around food. And the other is that I was so afraid of being out of control. And sure enough, like, I would start with all the healthy alternatives and I would end up binging on the healthy alternatives that I made. Like, I would go back and back and back to the kitchen while everyone else all the family was enjoying and talking in the living room and making memories together, and the kids are decorating cookies, and I'm trying to not be seen. I'm trying to hide in these trips back and back to the kitchen for just a little bit, just one more bite of alternative mashed potatoes, oh, one just more little piece of, turkey, like, this doesn't make a difference. And I would do that 25, 45 times. And all the back and back made me start feeling really awful and really full, and like I've surely surpassed all of the extra calories that I tried to burn. And then it was just like this point of no return. So I would go from binging on all the healthy alternatives to start binging in public, but trying to be in secret on everything else. So I'd start going back for the pie, and I'd start going back for the cookies. And I remember there was one holiday where everybody was in bed, and I just went down and I just binged. There were all of these just tons and tons and tons of cookies that we were going to like give away to people. And I refused to make the cookies because I didn't want to support criminal activity. And I went and I just was hoping that nobody would notice. But I just ate cookie after cookie after cookie after cookie. And I had to get up the next morning and work out even harder and even longer when I was still full and still felt disgusted from what I had done the night before and just completely sick. And this was the holiday season, and it would escalate, right? So we have, Halloween, and then we have Thanksgiving, and then we have Christmas, and all, the holidays that can come across with, depending on what your culture is, there's a lot of stuff all in a row. And the momentum building of trying harder and harder to not do stuff, and then it being harder and harder to make up for the binges. And, by the time that the later in the winter holidays would come around, I have times where I would just be missing everything with the family. There are so many memories that I don't have because I would start getting so panicky about food and body and weight. And I would go and just hide. Like I would cry by myself in a room, and I would feel so embarrassed that I was crying, and I would feel so ridiculous that I was so panicky around food, and I would just be so confused about why this was another year that, I vowed in January to fix this and it still wasn't fixed. And, people would come and check on me every once in a while, and then I'd be even more embarrassed, and then I'd be making up other reasons for why I was completely out of control with my emotions. It was just an eating disorder. I mean, I don't want to minimize that. It was an eating disorder and it was awful, but it wasn't anything else. It wasn't family relationships. It wasn't that I was sad. I was just so panicky about food. And so with, of course, my experience and literally the hundreds of women that we have helped that are experiencing a calm and wonderful holiday season where they can eat with their families and be spontaneous and be present and not be thinking about food and not be thinking about exercise and not having to make up for anything, I want to give you guys some 5 essential elements that are really going to help you in this holiday season. So the first one is do not eat for January. So this is what I mean by this. One way that we justify all of our craziness around food, and this is part of the cycle a lot of the time in an eating disorder, is we justify what's going on right now, like I can have this because of what I'm going to do afterwards. I mean, bulimia is the perfect example of this, right? Well, I'll just eat everything and anything, and I'll just keep going, and I'll just eat all this stuff and make myself sick because I'm going to purge it afterwards. It's the redeeming factor, although in reality that can stop your heart and you still absorb almost all those calories. It's false, but it's still the psychological idea of, oh, I'm going to make up for it afterwards. And this is what we end up getting into a cycle a lot of times during the holiday season, is that, okay, I can eat this, or I can, have all these meals, have all my favorite things, go crazy on the candy and the cookies. And even if we're trying not to, once we start doing it, then we go to January, right? We go in our minds to, oh, but I have this grand plan for January. This is going to be the last year. I obviously didn't figure it out this year, but in January, I'm really going to figure it out. And there's this new diet that's not even a diet. It's actually a lifestyle, and it's working for everybody, and it's going to work for me too. And so we start eating during the holiday season for January. Like, well, I'm going to make up for it later. And what happens is that we gain weight, that 15 to 20 pounds during the holiday season, which pushes up our set point weight. And then once we get to January and try to lose it, even if we successfully go down in weight, then it's pushing up our set point weight again, because we're pushing it up when we gain it, and then we're also pushing it up when we go back down the other way. And so it's really awful for our bodies. This is why, women find themselves, 10 pounds heavier every year. It's this time, especially during the year, where they gain this weight and they either don't lose it or they do, and it pushes their set point weight up. And so, by the time spring comes around, they're the heaviest they've ever been. And well, I've really, really got to do something about it. Break the cycle now and stop eating for January. Diets have a 98% failure rate. You have a 98% rate of failure of making up for whatever you did during the holiday season. So to be able to be in this moment and eat for how you would eat right now, instead of eating in a way that you're going to make up for it later, is going to make a huge difference. Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And this is what so much of the world goes through every single year. The insanity of this next January is going to be different, so I'm just going to go crazy during this holiday season, or I'm going to try to restrict all throughout, whichever way. It's just different sides of the same coin. And then, I'm going to make up for it in January. And then we find ourselves a failure and even heavier and sicker and all these things when it comes to the next holiday season. So now is the time to break this habit of eating now for January. The second element to keep in mind is to be present and honest with how you're feeling. So during the holiday season, there is a lot of events, there's a lot of family, there are people that we haven't seen before. For a lot of us, it's really difficult to see people we haven't seen in a year, because our eating disorder is worse, because either people know about it and they're really worried about us and they have an eye on us the whole time, or they don't know about it and they just wonder why we're either, much thinner or much heavier, or why our weight changes all the time. And we have so much of this internal fear about all the people that we're seeing. So that's an element of it. But there's also just all the baggage of the relationship stuff, right? Like being with family can be a wonderful thing and it can be a horrible thing. So just a human thing that I wanted to give you guys that's going to help you during the holiday season is take yourself out of this element of should and really be honest and check in and be present with how you feel. We get around family and we have all these shoulds. I should listen to what this person is saying. I should appease this person. I should impress this other person. I, should do this even though I don't want to. I should be nice even though I want to say something else. And because of that obligation that's on it, we go to a place internally where we're not feeling good. And you don't have to feel good to end your eating disorder. It's not about avoiding triggers. We've debunked that in many a video. If you haven't seen those videos, then you can go and watch them. But this is a way to enjoy your holiday season, to take the should off of it and to check in and be honest about how you're feeling. If you're talking to your racist uncle and you are just beaten down by the things that he is saying and it's making you sad for the world, check in and be honest with how you're feeling. Instead of I should keep listening or I don't want to offend him, go to a place of how are you honestly feeling? I don't feel good in this conversation. I don't like listening to this. It's not a good feeling. And you have the absolute right, just like you do at any time of the year, to not be present for the conversations that you don't want to be in. You can leave. You can transition out. You can go do something else. If your people battery is really spent, you can spend some time alone. If you don't want to keep cooking, you can take a break from cooking. You can delegate. This is a time of year of a lot of obligation, especially for women. And so being honest and checking in with how you feel, and then having the bravery and giving yourself the permission to change your environment and to change your relation to others, whether it's in space or in ducking out of a conversation, is really going to make this time of year much smoother. The third element that I want to give you guys is something that I teach my clients, and it's a lot of fun, and I wanted to pass it on to all y'all because this can be a great way to navigate discussion during the holiday season. So a lot of discussions, whether family or friends or whatever, is about January. Oh, like I shouldn't be eating this, but like I'm going to do this new thing in January, or people already planning their diets, people already planning their big grand plans. And so I wanted to give you guys this fun element that we practice. And it's this element of playing dumb in those conversations, because there's a lot of assumption, right? If someone says, oh, she doesn't have the body for that, or she can't wear that, or you say, oh, I can't wear this, or I can't eat this. It's steeped in all of the assumptions with the society that we live in that's sexist and fat phobic, and just all of this really bad information about that diets work when they have a 98% failure rate, and that, you know, health is equated to the body shape and size that you have. Just all these things that are just completely debunked, but we're still in that society. And so when those things come up, to not go with the grain of all of those other assumptions. And if you want to stay in those conversations, to really put the onus on the person saying this stuff and put the ownership on them to own those assumptions. So I'll give you guys an example. So, you know, if somebody says, oh, you know, you're in a conversation with them and they're saying, oh man, I really shouldn't be eating this. Get curious. Oh, why? Play dumb about it. Assume that you don't know that they're saying, I am in too large of a body to deserve to eat food. That's the assumption, and that's ridiculous. And so, you know, if they say, oh, well, you know, like I really shouldn't be eating this. Oh, why? Oh, well, I mean, look at me. I'm looking at you. What am I looking for? Really be just innocent and curious, and it reflects those assumptions back on the dialogue that's happening, right? And they're like, oh, well, I mean, I should be losing weight, you know, like I shouldn't be eating, you know, this pie, or, you know, I shouldn't be, you know, wearing this. Like, I know I don't have the body for it. I just, you know, like thought I would try it out. And, oh, what body do you have to wear that? Just play dumb, get curious about it. It's a really fun way to navigate the perpetuating of these bad ideas of that women should eat this or shouldn't eat this depending on their body size, that they should wear this or shouldn't wear, like can wear this or can't wear that because of their body size or shape or their age or whatever it is. And to really challenge those assumptions in, if you don't want to be confrontational, just be curious and play dumb and let people explain to you exactly why someone else shouldn't be wearing that outfit. Or get curious. And if somebody says, oh man, like Aunt whoever has gained a lot of weight. Oh, is weight important to you? Be curious about it. Now they have to explain why someone else's weight is important to them. And so that's a fun element that I wanted to pass on to you guys. And then the fourth and fifth elements are, number 4, be part of something bigger. This is going to be one of your most life-saving, holiday-saving anchors, is to be part of something bigger, to have a community that understands, to have the support of people who get it. And this is a huge thing. Like, we have so much buzz happening in our client group that is just so active, and people are popping in every single day. And there's this wonderful discussion because everyone gets it. Everyone used to have an eating disorder, and then they came into this community, and now they're learning to not have an eating disorder anymore, and they're having freedom. And you can be in a world of people that understand this is a hard time of year, that understand what works and doesn't work, that can support each other in what actually does work, and who get it. So whatever that community is, that being part of something bigger, having somebody that you can check in with during the holiday season, somebody who gets it, instead of trying to force someone to understand it that doesn't. Like, be in a world and a community where people understand. I mean, we have our incredible Facebook community. Of course, our clients have the best community in the world because they're actually getting free together. Like, this is going to be their last holiday season that they ever struggle with food. And it's all just very exciting and an amazing support. So really, to be part of something bigger. I love one of our grads, Emily, who was bulimic and, just an incredibly accomplished person, but thought of ending her life if she didn't end her bulimia because it's awful. Like, an eating disorder is horrible. One thing that she said about having that community, which I just love so much, is she said, having an eating disorder is like walking on a tightrope of any wrong slip and it's over. Like, if you mess up at all, if you fumble at all, and there's just like this stress and the trying to keep it together all the time, and you're just walking this tightrope. But having that community, like having the community with all of these women who absolutely get it and are getting free together and understand, is like having a safety net. And you have that safety net underneath where you can just practice walking that tightrope, and it doesn't matter if you slip and you fall, because you've got this support. And then you just climb up, you can do it again, and it's no big deal. Like, it's not a life or death thing. Like, you have that safety net until you don't need that safety net anymore, because now you have that skill. But being able to have that is such an important thing, such a huge, huge element. And then the fifth element that I want to give you guys, that is probably the most important, is to break this cycle overall in the year. This cycle of January, you've got your goals and you're really going to fix your eating disorder this year, and you're really going to lose the weight this year. And then by springtime and summertime, like, things just go downhill and you're going the other way and you're gaining your weight back and you feel so embarrassed about it. So then once routine starts again in the fall, well then, all right, we're really, really, really going to do it this time. And, we're back into a routine and it's the fall, and, we're going to fix this, and we're going to be, great by family pictures. And then by the time the holidays come around, then we're completely off the wagon and we're feeling awful, and then we're making declarations for January again. Stop the cycle. Anytime that you reinforce that cycle, it reinforces that groove in your brain, and it gets harder and harder for you to fix on your own ever. So break the cycle now. We have so many people coming to us during the holiday season that are getting free from their eating disorders. And it's not with restriction, and it's not with, giving up pie for, the entire rest of the year. It's about being able to not have an eating disorder, so you can be normal around food and be present with family and not wait and ruin another year. You only have so many years in life. And so that fifth element that I want to give you guys of how to survive the holidays is to break the cycle. And you can still be done with this. It's 2019. You told yourself that you would be done this year, and you've still got time this year. We have women that after 45 years of an eating disorder, in literally 2 to 3 weeks, are completely done and free of their eating disorders. We see this all the time. Like, I have 5 names in my head right now of women that it was like 45 years plus, and in less than 4 weeks, they were completely done and free. You can still be done this year, but you hurt your chances if you're waiting until January, where you're in this world that all together, it's a collective, like, we're going to try another thing that has a 98% failure rate. Don't ride that wave with everyone else. Fix this right now. So this can be the first January where that's not a goal of yours, to fix your eating disorder, because you're already getting it fixed. It's already done. You're already free. That is a really, really wonderful feeling, to cross a goal off your list that's been on there for 25 years. It's a really big deal. And it's something that women that we work with get to celebrate every single day. But if this is something that you want to be done with and you're tired of wasting any more years, the last element that I'd give you is break the cycle right now. You can go to lifewithlydia.com/apply. Again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And we have openings during this holiday season for a free breakthrough session where we are going to get you the foundation of freedom and help you to know how to be done with this all the way, so that you can be free for the rest of your life. And this is the last holiday season that you ever have to spend in the suffering. So again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, signing off with the 5 essentials to survive the holidays. All right, bye guys. Mwah.